Our Cheryl Oates right now is in Medicine Hat, and it has been updating us. She's been updating us on the situation there, where thousands have been forced to flee their homes. Cheryl, what's the latest on the situation there?
That's right. Here in Medicine Hat, the river continues to rise. The South Saskatchewan breaching its banks this morning. And just to give you an idea of just how much higher this river will come, right now it's running at 3,900 cubic meters per second, and at its peak it's expected to reach a record level of 5,500 cubic meters a second. The city has now closed the Finley Bridge behind me and Maple Avenue Bridge as well. There is some talk about closing the Trans-Canada Bridge at this point. If that happens, residents will be given 1 to 2 hours notice, and resources will be split across both sides of the river.
If the Trans-Canada Highway bridges were to be closed, the city will be divided between the north and south. All agencies and supporting departments are employing crews on both sides of the river to prepare for that possibility.
Now, troops have been called, Canadian Forces troops called in to help out. They've been working through the night, building berms and sandbagging, working to protect the most vulnerable and low-lying levels. One more note, the city, it may be obvious, but the city's saying this river is very unsafe. There's tons of people coming to get a look at just how high it's getting, but they're saying to stay away from river banks, waterways, and pathways, because if something happens, if you do fall in the river, river rescue may not be possible.
All right, thanks so much for the update. That's Cheryl Oates coming to us from Medicine Hat this morning.
Cheryl Oates joins us from Medicine Hat, where the water is now receding. Cheryl.
That's right, Quinn and Tom. The river here in Medicine Hat peaked around midnight this morning, flowing at over 5,400 cubic meters a second, which is more than the city of Medicine Hat predicted. Now, officials are still calling this a successful flooding event. They said they were given so much notice and so much time to prepare, they were able to take every precaution possible to minimize the damage.
It does mean that they're going to be out of their homes for a little bit longer. We don't know the duration. There's two different thought processes, I suppose. If it comes through at a high rate and a short duration, then people get back into their homes, but we're going to see more damage. If we have the low levels and a prolonged rate, we should see less damage as long as we can maintain the dikes that we have. So it's a 50-50 split, which one's going to be the best for us. But right now, it's a slower moving level that we might be able to stay ahead of, and that's our target.
Well, we're just trying to figure out what's been going on and what's going to happen, and you know, if we could just get to the homes and just see if our house has been flooded, and so that at least we have a little bit of idea. But we know that we can't. It's dangerous, and it's just really upsetting for all of us that live across that way.
So now the cleanup begins. Officials are now working on a re-entry plan for those evacuated residents who managed to stay dry through all of this, whose homes were unaffected. They say gas will be restored to those houses one by one in the flats. Maple and Finley Bridge reopened at 2 p.m. today, and from here, as the water continues to recede, officials will be able to check the damage that was done by the flooding here and start the cleanup. Back to you guys.
All right, thanks, Cheryl. That's Cheryl Oates reporting for us from Medicine Hat tonight.
Cheryl Oates is in Medicine Hat with the latest. Good morning, Cheryl.
That's right. The South Saskatchewan River has now breached its banks in the city of Medicine Hat, and that water continues to rise. So flood preps are well underway here. You can see behind me, these are Canadian Forces troops from Edmonton, and what they're doing is building a berm all the way across the road here. There's a creek in behind that is expected to overflow, and this entire road is expected to be underwater later today. So they're building a berm here to go straight across and hopefully hold that water back as much as they can. The water is expected to continue to rise until about tomorrow morning around 3 a.m. So all hands are on deck here in Medicine Hat as people do everything they can to prepare.
Cheryl Oates in Medicine Hat. It is a scene.
And we're going to move now to Medicine Hat, where we're going to get an update there. The situation extremely critical this morning. Thousands of people are having to leave their homes. There's an evacuation order under there. Cheryl Oates is in Medicine Hat with the latest. Cheryl.
That's right. The city of Medicine Hat is preparing for record level flooding. This is the South Saskatchewan River flowing underneath me now, and officials believe this river will breach its banks and cause massive flooding in the city. 10,000 residents have already been evacuated from the flats. Those residents were asked to leave their homes by 10 a.m. this morning, and gas will be shut off to that area by 2 p.m. tonight. Now, the city warning people who live in that area, this is a mandatory evacuation. If you choose not to leave your house, emergency personnel will not be able to rescue you. The latest we heard from the city is that this river is expected to continue to rise until 10 p.m. tonight, likely flooding starting this afternoon. The latest from the city in a 10:30 a.m. newser, when we'll hear the latest on the situation. Back to you.
We now go to an update from Medicine Hat, where the situation there is extremely critical this morning. We've been focusing on Calgary, but 10,000 people are expected to be evacuated by 10 o'clock this morning.
And we have a live report from Cheryl Oates. She's going to be joining us with the latest here. Cheryl.
Yeah, it is calm this morning in Medicine Hat, but that is all about to change. Officials expect the South Saskatchewan River, you can see it in here behind me, to breach its banks. We could see flooding here in Medicine Hat as early as this morning. 10,000 people have already been evacuated in low-lying areas in the city. They have until 10 a.m. this morning to get everything out of their homes that they can and get to higher ground. The city will be shutting off gas to that area by 2 p.m. today. Now, no one is taking this warning lightly. If you remember, in 1995, this area was devastated by flooding, and officials are saying this time the levels of water will be even higher. Back to you.
All right, thanks, Cheryl Oates, and that will continue to, and she'll be continuing to update us on the changing situation in Medicine Hat throughout the morning.